This conference will now be recorded.
How are you? Software is away.
Okay, you're here. I was about to send you an email, so fortunately you're here. So thank you very much, everyone. Hello, my name is. I'm really glad to be. I'm very excited today to be moderating such webinar, YELDA October 31st webinar. So my name is Sabir, and I am member of YELDA Publicity and Communication team. I'm also a social entrepreneur. Can you hear me, right? Okay, yeah. Great. So I'm very happy, as I said, to have such incredible speakers to whom I'm looking forward to an interesting discussion that will be of value to our audience, young leaders, participants, professionals from all over the African continent, from South America, and the world. As you may know, YELDA, in case you're not familiar, stands for Youth Alliance for Leadership and Development in Africa. Okay, so, and it's a non-for-profit organization, African branded by Africans for Africa. It was established in order to create a resourceful network database for those with the strong interest in Africa. Its vision or its invasions, international network of inspired, empowered, and proactive young African leaders who are influential in making positions, who are running their own organizations or companies, culminating in a prosperous and developed African country. So, as you may know, the mission of YELDA monthly webinars is for youth to achieve development on the African continent through cordial collaboration between youth and professionals, such as our speakers today. In other words, YELDA organizes such webinars to bring African students, individuals, business professionals, influential political leaders to discuss the challenges that we Africans are facing for the African continent and the critical role for youth in overcoming them. So today's topic is a little bit different. So we're not going to discuss the challenges. It's more practical. But before going any further, I would like to leave the floor to our lovely speakers to introduce themselves. And I would like to start with Mr. Cujo Paris. So Mr. Cujo, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Sabir. And colleagues, please forgive me for not using video today. My Wi-Fi connection seems to be playing up. My name is Kojo Paris, and I'm very proud to have been involved in YALDA for over a decade. I was very honored when, in formulating YALDA, Bukamu approached me all those years back, and I thought it was a brilliant idea and formation then, and I think over the years it's proven itself to be extraordinarily invaluable, as so many young leaders have passed through YALDA and been formed by YALDA. I'm a retired investment banker with a background in engineering and accounting, and probably about 17 years ago I retired and spend a lot of my time now building social enterprises across the continent. But most importantly, and most refreshingly and rewardingly. It's really mentoring young leaders across the continent. And that's the context in which I have remained a part of Yalda's governance structure, and very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kujo. It's we're happy and glad to have you two here. Now I would like to move to the other side of the world, to Dr. Melida Harris, who is born in Panama. So welcome, Dr. Melida. Dr. Melida, can you hear us? You can unmute your mic and go ahead. Dr. Melida. Dr. Melida, can you hear us, please? You can unmute your mic and go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to move to and go back to Dr. Melida. So to North Africa with Dr. Ayub to tell us about who he is and what he's doing. So if you can unmute your mic and go ahead, Mr. Ayub.
Thank you very much. Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you. I'm very pleased to be among you today with the Yalda. So I'm Ayub, CEO of Al Mahad, which is an education center for creative teaching and learning, and founder of the No Lab, which is a co-working space and incubator, and very much interested in social entrepreneurship and education in general.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'm back.
So welcome with we're glad. Dr. Melida, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yes.
go ahead. So
Yes,
you
good
look
morning,
like
good afternoon to everyone. I hope all is well. I am Dr. Melida Harris Barrow, born in Panama City, Panama, Central America, and I spent most of my life connecting Africa and the diaspora, doing many research as to why is it that being in Central America, I never knew or learned anything about Africa. So when I arrived to the United States in 1976, I discovered that I am of African descent, had no clue back then. I'm still researching. I've started quite a few businesses. The last business that I just started, the 6th Region Global Chamber of Commerce, something that is needed for all of us, actually. It's about economic development, economic empowerment between Africa and the African diaspora in the world, and of course, the indigenous people of the land. So I've involved in many things. I also have an organization called Love, Truth, and Peace. I have a talk show, and I can go on and on, but let's get this program started. I am so excited to be here. Thank you, Sabir, for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're glad to have you too. So now we're left with Ms. Nicolette Makuto, the founder of the Walking the African Journey in South Africa. So if you can unmute your mic and introduce yourself, please.
Just waiting. Okay. Hi, can you hear me now? Hi, everyone.
Yes,
I'm Nicolette. Okay, perfect. I'm Nicolette Matuku, and I'm the co-founder of Walking the African Journey, which is a youth development and empowerment social enterprise here in South Africa. And I was recently appointed CEO of the AAFL, which is Association of African Future Leaders. And so most of my work, I've got 10 years in youth development experience, and most of my work has been advocating for youth empowerment and youth using the resources that they have and whatever they have in their communities for development to start at a communal level into a regional, into a national, and into a global global market. So yeah, so that's what I do. I'm a youth development specialist. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. As you may see, we're surfing, or we surf the world while we are home. Everyone is home, so that's the power of technology and development, thanks to COVID-19. And that's the bright side of having such a pandemic. And development cannot be overnight or without the people, especially those who have been mentored as it should be. So that's why we chose as a theme for today's webinar, who is your who is in your personal advisory board. So I'm gonna start from the end with Miss Nicolette. So I would like to start our discussion with you, Miss Nicolette. So, and my first question that I would like to ask is if you can tell us a little bit about, from your perspective and from your own experience as a leader and as someone who is with a well-vested interest in food security and sustainability and malnutrition, what does it mean to have a personal advisory board? In other words, what is a personal advisory board from your perspective? Ms. Nicolette, please. Miss Nicolette, can you hear me? Miss Nicolette Makuto, can you hear us? If you can, please unmute your mic and go ahead. I don't know what's wrong with, maybe she cannot hear us. So Miss Nicolette, can you hear me? Actually, she's on.
Yeah, I think she's having some technical difficulties there because it keeps coming back and forth.
Okay. Otherwise, I'm gonna move to Mr. Kojo. So if you can give us like some insight about what does it mean to have a personal advisory board.
So, Sabir, thanks a lot. You know, this is an issue which is close to my heart, and largely because I not only should we all
Hi,
at all
Sabir.
stages of
Sorry,
our lives have a
can
personal
you please
advisory
repeat
board, but that personal advisory board, I
that?
think, has three key qualities. One, it must be continual. It's a lifelong formulation. And I'll come back to that just now.
Sure.
Secondly, it must be contextual. It needs to change and evolve. And thirdly, it has to be dynamic. And let me just expand a bit on those three. Firstly, the idea of a personal advisory board it really goes back, since time immemorial. Before we had institutions, before we had even organized societies, we couldn't know everything at all times, which would help us to survive. And really, your personal advisory board, at for the longest time, were your parents, were those in your community, those with whom you interacted, your relatives. And as we've become to live in more complex societies, the societies have become more labor differentiated, and the tasks we have in life become more specialized. So we need close to us people we can trust, people we can rely on, but people who have been there or have certain wisdoms and certain learnings from which we can build some sense of how we could progress. And you'll notice that I haven't said in your career, I haven't said in your private life, I've simply said to progress. So that's why your personal advisory board needs to be contextual. So you'll have one board for your professional life, your career, but then that may not be the relevant people to give you advice on how your personal development as a broader human being. And when you're 18 years old and you're about to leave high school and and fashion your tertiary education or go on to build your next unicorn, the people you need around you are going to be very different from those you'll need in 40 years, in 20 years when you're a senior exec trying to get that CEO job or you're about to list your company. And the last issue is about dynamism. Now, if I'm a if I sorry, it's contextual. If I'm living in Botswana, say, I have to have a different sort of personal advisory board across the various bits of my life as compared to, let's say, I live in Guyana, where I was born, and because the circumstances are different, we don't have, for example, in Guyana, very large culturally based communities in the same way as one might have in societies which have a greater level of traditional adherence. So the nature and the profile of my personal advisory board will differ. So it's got to be contextual, it's got to be dynamic, and it's lifelong. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kujo. So you highlighted 3 points which are very interesting. So and that's why I would like to come back to Miss Nicola, if she can hear us. Miss Nicola, what do you think about what has been said? Do you have something to add about what does it mean of having a board of advisors or a personal board of advisors from your perspective? Because as Mr. Kujo said, so having a personal brand from a person who lives in Botswana is different. So the concepts are different. So from your perspective, and as I said, from your interest and with well-vested interest, security and sustainability, malnutrition. So if you can give us more about such insights about the topic.
Okay, so perfect. Can you hear? I'm sure you can hear me now. So with regards to a personal advisory team, okay, perfect. A personal advisory team, I would term it a not really formal, I'll say informal group or little group or big group of people that are different thought leaders and experts in their different fields that advise you. So when you're choosing, I would say you need people that actually bring some sort of brain stimulation. How do they advise?
I'm sorry, but just as a matter of organization, please, for the participants, if you can mute your mic, that would be perfect to give the chance to the speakers to express themselves and without making noise. Okay, so the person who is speaking can unmute his mic, but for the participants, please do mute your mic, please, because you're kind of disturbing with no offense. So yes, Nicola, if you can go ahead and give us more about what you have said, because it was interrupted a little bit. So.
Okay. So yeah. So I was also saying that you need to also identify people that can create opportunities or access to opportunities for you. I'll give a random funding example or networking example where if I am starting a social enterprise and I'm looking at getting funding, I should look at people that can advise me or help me get to a place where I can apply for grants and all of that. I have to look for somebody who is working in, for example, MasterCard or the UNDP that can help me access opportunity to grants to to actually develop my social enterprise. So you also need to look at people that can open up opportunities for you to explore and grow further and propel in whatever it is that you want. And the last thing that you'd really look at is, do the people also, is it a holistic relationship that you're going to have with the people that you're going to choose for your advisory board? Because sometimes I think we stick to professional, and then you don't really vibe when it comes to more of a personal level. So I think it should be a holistic. Do your energies meet as well? Do your energies leverage each other? So I think when you look at a personal advisory team, you should also look holistically, that you also, it's a person that is right above you when it comes to goals, but do you actually relate to them also on a holistic level? So I think those three are the three most important things when you're choosing a person for your personal advisory team.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for such incredible ideas. Just to know, you have up to 10 minutes. You can express your ideas up to 10 minutes. So try to use the time wisely. So now I'm going to move to Dr. Melida. So from what has been said, and as we know, you are from another part of the world again. And as we know, the environment is different, as well as concepts. And if you could, for example, please talk to us a little bit about how is the system working? And from your experience, how can we benefit, and what are the steps, and how can we develop a board of advisor to make our goals a reality?
I would say, based on the speakers, in summary, you need to start being purposeful about creating a personal advisory board. I have them in my life. I started doing that about 3 years ago because I see the importance of it, much as I speak about mentors. The ability of one mentor to fulfill all of our future challenges at this present time. So look out for those people who give value consistently. Look for those with diverse experience. Look for those who cheer for your success. Seek professionals in similar personal circumstances and life stages. Look for those who are not, look for those that are not only going to cheer you, but also guide you. I think that's important. Coming from Central America, and lived in the United States for many years. I believe now it's like 35 to 40 years. Having personal advisors, we don't think about that. We don't think about these things because most of the time we're only thinking about ourselves. We think about how we can do things ourselves, and that's not going to work. We need a community that understands how to come together, how to work together. The system actually that's present today in the world does not allow us to succeed alone. We have to come together at one point. I promise you that having these people in your life will help you. These are not limited to professional advice. This is also advice, career advice, mentorship in terms of personal. These are people that you can consult on your life as well. They're your personal advisory board. You need to offer them your trust and then receive theirs in return. So the reason I have gotten to the point where I'm at today is because of my personal advisory board, because I do believe, and now I'm getting presently working on a global chamber. So at this present time, having your expertise is key. So the system that we have today that I'm experiencing and I've always experienced is that there's so many young people coming out of college today, and they're not embracing, they're talking more about the mentorship, but I do believe that the advisory board, the personal advisory board is key. So they guide you to lead. And when you have different people in that advisory board from different backgrounds, from different countries, from different experiences, it's even better.
Okay, it's really interesting. But you said one thing which I would like to ask you a question about is that
Sure.
we have to be truthful and trust the personal advisory board. But don't you think we're going to have conflicts of interest or to be taken advantage of, especially for young leaders with who are inexperienced?
Well, this is why it's important for you to choose the right people to be your personal advisory board. I've had situations where people have been in my circle and they have, there are things that have surfaced, which is jealousy. There are things that have surfaced where they are saying something that's not what you want to do. So I think it's key and most important for you to choose the right people, people that don't think 100% like you, but to have a large percentage of how they think. It's basically how you thinking. Because if you want to carry an agenda out, it's very difficult to get people. If I'm thinking about apples and they're thinking about oranges, it's not going to work. So we need to be also cautious. And when I say trust, I mean trust in the sense that you're not going to have someone in your circle and not trust them, you know. So those people that's in your circle, remember, you are creating your advisory board, your personal advisory board. You are the one that's creating it. You are the one that's in control. So as soon as you see someone that's stepping out and not doing what they're supposed to do, they have to go. We have to take charge of our circle, and that's a lot of times we don't do that. So yes,
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I'm gonna move to Mr. Ayub to give us his insights about what has been said and to talk to us a little bit about what are the strategies, if there are any, and how can we build an effective and efficient board of advisory, especially for those who are willing to start their startups, because I know you are doing a great job in the system of entrepreneurs in Algeria. So young entrepreneurs, so as to enable them and empower them to save time and energy.
Thank you very much, Sabir, for this question. Actually, we bounce on the personal advisory board. They advise, motivate, connect, and inspire. For me, these are the four key words for an advisory board. They advise on different levels. We're going to come back to them. They motivate, they connect you, and Nicolai spoke about that. They inspire as well, as mentioned by your speakers. And they are, in a way, a source of valuable personal and professional advice. Now, in terms of how can we make them, in the first place, or the first strategy to, or the first move in the strategy to have an advisory board is to assess your needs and find out the gaps in your knowledge and skills. So that's the first step. What do you need the advisory board for? Are you ready for having an advisory board? So that's important before you come up with what's your advisory board. And most probably, it depends on if you want it to be much more a professional advisory board or not. As far as I see it, it's a mix. So an advisory board will advise on different levels, different areas. There is the professional level. There might be even an academic one, a health one, a social aspect, a family aspect, a material aspect, a personal aspect, and a spiritual aspect. So for me, there are 8 different aspects where the advisory board could contribute in order to achieve that great success on personal and professional scale. So first, as I mentioned, assessing your needs, and then who are be part of your advisory board? How are you going to put them together? Of course, they should be, as Dr. Melida said, people who give you value constantly. This is really important. It's a great idea. People who give you value constantly, value on a social level, on a personal level, and so on and so forth. Now, in order to choose them, there are roles. They are like going to fulfill some roles. And in your life, why is the personal advisory board better idea than simply having a mentor? So in the couple of decades, we talked about a lot about mentoring and having a mentor and the importance of having a mentor. And those or this couple of years, we're talking much more about an advisory board rather than simply a mentor, because having one person is not enough. Because people have like a specific or some specific criteria. They are given model, and for your life to succeed, you need different points of view. You need different perspectives. You need people like, I would say, you need different roles, and those different roles, you need someone who is wise in your advisory board. You need someone who is questioner, always questioning what you're doing and just asking why, because we need to get to the source of what you're doing. We need to get to the why behind actions. We need also the therapist in your personal advisory board. The therapist is the one that you can, of course, trust something that you have with every single person in your advisory board. But this therapist is someone who can help you on much more an emotional level, someone who could level up when you're not feeling good, when there's something that you're not really much sure about in terms of emotion. Therapist, there's someone there who understands much more the human feelings and the human behavior to help on that level. Because many people would think that advice should come only from a material perspective or from a personal success point of view. But that's not true. Personal success is not only material, it's not only concrete. We need a lot of emotions in, let's say, emotions. Great. And then you need someone who, depending on how do you want to direct this advisory board, or the skills you need most, because as we have mentioned, you will start with assessing the needs, and according to those needs, you will find the people who might help you fill in the gaps. For example, if you have problems managing money, you will need a money guru, someone who would help you managing or help you giving advice in such a thing. You definitely need an inspiration in every single person in this advisory board. Now, how are you going to find them? You'll tell me, how am I going to find all those people? Of course, those people are everywhere. They are in your professional environment. They are in the events you attend. So they might be speakers, they might be organizers, they might be participants. So they are in the events you attend. They are in LinkedIn as well. Sometimes you find people in LinkedIn, you connect with them, and then there is a strategy of approaching them in order to be part of your advisory board. You find them as well. Those are the people also you are inspired by, the people you feel that what they are doing is inspiring and you'd like to be like them, or even go above and beyond what they are doing. This is something where you can find them as YouTube channel, having a YouTube channel, for example. You can contact them and also try to approach them. To approach them is always scary, but not that difficult. You know, inside every human being, there's this need or this idea of they would like to help others. There's this philanthropy in every human being. So if you approach it correctly, you would make anybody, literally anybody in the world, help you, or you would make them help you. If you approach them and you tell them, look, I'm really inspired by what you're doing, and what you're doing is really something that I'm looking up to, and I would like you to be part of my advisory board, and I'm bringing this dream team and trying to bring this team and help me, advise me. And of course, you set the expectations in terms of time, because most probably those people do not have much time. So the thing that scares people most is that you tell them, I want you to be part of my team, and then they ask themselves, okay, maybe it's gonna take too much of my time. So if you tell them, you assure them, and it's saying that it's only half an hour each quarterly, for example, it's just 10 minutes a month, it's just 20 minutes each 3 months. It's not much, because they're not going to solve every single each problem in detail. They're there to help. As I've mentioned, they are there to advise, but to motivate, to connect you. Sometimes they have the right connections for you. They're not the right person to advise you, but sometimes they know someone who knows someone who can bring, yes, what you need. And of course, they inspire, and that's also something that you can do. Now, that's roughly speaking the process that you can do. And of course, by the end, those people, you need also to get them motivated by, I would say, to serve, to share, to care. What does that mean? To serve, that means to be available and participate in their events, and to be also be there for them as well. You share with them whatever you're doing, your successes. You know, that's the most valuable asset they have. If they help you, their most valuable result, it's the outcome they will have with you, which is your success. So if you provide them with feedback and you provide them with the results you are having each let's say month or bi-monthly, or you agree about a given process, they would be very happy about that. And of course, you care, you show interest, you ask them also about them. Somehow you're not going to be their personal advisory, but somehow there's this two ways. It's not a one-way road. It's a two-way road.
Yes.
Okay, so this is actually very interesting, but you talked at the beginning about in order to have or to establish an advisory or a board of advisors, as an individual, we need to assess our needs. So if you can talk to us a little bit, because we see there are a lot of young people, so, and especially those who wants to start their startups, because you are very active in such field. So if you can give us like some steps about how can our participants today, or young leaders in general, to assess their needs, because this is something very difficult one, because you can ask someone about anything and they can answer, but when you ask them a person about their personal skills and so on and so forth, they get confused. So if you can give us more about how and for example, some techniques to assess
Yes.
their needs.
Okay, so if we talk about the whole the whole array, from personal to professional to an academic, there's something called the wheel of balance. And in the wheel of balance, you bring each part of your life. This tool is easy. You bring each tool of your life, each array, and from 0 to 10, you give yourself a point, like how much am I feeling good about that field? How much am I feeling good about my professional life? How much am I feeling good about my personal life? How much am I feeling good about my spiritual life? How much good am I feeling about my material life? How much good I'm feeling about my family life? How much good I'm feeling about my social life? And how much good I'm feeling about my health? For me, these are the 8 most important fields of one's life, or facets of one's life. Now you give them from 0 to 10. Now, whenever you have less than 5, that means that's a problem, because you know life is about balance. It's not about being successful in one field. You might be the best professional ever. You might give yourself a 10 on a professional array, but if you have another problem in another social life, for example, or family life, or most probably even a spiritual life, you wouldn't feel happy, because that would be like a black hole. It would just take your energy, it will drain your energy away. So it's important to build balance, to try to fix or to find and to set objectives and goals in each of those aspects and work on them. So that's one tool you can work on. The second tool, which is also famous and a lot of people might be using already, which is the SWOT. So the SWOT is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and you try to make an assessment of your life according to what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the opportunities and threats. Now, if it's in a start or from startup point of view, it's the same thing. You try to bring up the goal you have, which is the startup idea you have, the solution you are bringing to the market, and the problem you're trying to solve, and try to ask yourself, what are my strengths regarding this solution? What are my weaknesses regarding this solution? What are the opportunities I have regarding this solution? And here comes the importance of the advisory board, because the advisory board is an invaluable resources, especially from an opportunity point of view. You can have a multitude of opportunity regarding this point. And we have other tools as well that you can use in order to evaluate, to do this evaluation. You can also make use of the people around you. You can ask them, build a questionnaire, for example, or set interviews and build or gather as many data as possible. And through that data, you try to analyze it and come up with where you are right now. Because, you know, anything starts with a diagnosis. If you diagnose it well, if you start with the right diagnosis, later on it's going to be great. Okay, so you're going to do great. If you don't know where you are, you cannot really start. A lot of people might make this mistake, which is starting from where they want to go, which is not really the right approach. Because, you know, if someone wants to come where I am right now, and then I pick up the phone and I say, hello, how are you? I'm not going to tell him directly. We know where he wants to come. He wants to come where I am, but I'm not going to tell him directly, go around, turn right, go left, go ahead. The first question would be, where are you right now? So that's exactly the same thing we should ask people. Anybody who wants to have an advisory board should ask himself or herself, what am I right now? And then what's my objectives? What are my goals and my objectives?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ayub. So what I'm trying to do is to recap what has been said. So, and the strategies to build an advisory board about what has been said already is that first we need to assess our needs through different aspects, such as Ayub highlighted. So through the wheel of balance, and then we can use the SMART, which is SMART method. So SWOT method, sorry. So strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and also try to approach the right people, what has been highlighted with Dr. Merida. And the second step is to approach them. So now I'm going to move to Mr. Cujo as a next step to tell us about the power of mentorship. So we focus on the person, the individual who wants to start and establish a personal board. So as a first step, he or she needs to make and do a need assessment. And let's say that the person did this, and now he needs to approach mentors. So if you can to talk to us about the power of mentorship and how can we approach them based on what has been said, and yes, and based on your experience, which is for more than 3 years now, and you have been like having mentoring people from Hilda and other organizations. So please, if you can give us some insights about the power of mentorship and how can we reach and contact people, because you know sometimes some people may create some barriers and some insecurities in their head, thinking that they cannot talk to a mentor because he or she is not going to respond. So, and you know, if you can give us some insight about this aspect.
Thanks again, Sabir. And I want to say that my previous fellow panelists have been sharing some amazing insights, and I hope everyone is really paying rapt attention to them. And I particularly, before I go on to answer your question directly, want to reinforce a couple of points. You know, okay, there are very few people in this world who don't want to help. And the flip side of that coin is that when you're looking for mentors, when you're looking for mentorship, don't be afraid of rejection. Because although most people want to help, some people either haven't got the bandwidth or themselves don't feel confident enough to step into that mentorship role. And so the one practical thing to do is say, thanks a lot for your response. Can you suggest to me someone who I may approach? And it may take 1 or 2 referrals, but the likelihood is that you can get to that person who can be of particular help to you. So don't be afraid of rejection. That's really key. And in fact, let's try and revision it not as rejection, but as building your network, because every new referral builds your network.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, build gradually. I imagine there's some people sitting there thinking, damn, by end of November, I've got to make sure I've got my personal advisory board on tap. Is it going to be 5 people? Is it going to be 7 people? How many do I need after I've done my SWOT analysis? How many do I need? As I said right at the start, the picture and your needs change. And as Ayub said, once you've done your SWOT analysis, once you've done your needs analysis, start with the most important and the most pressing challenge you have, and find a few people who can help you with that. Sometimes you only need one person to help you, but start gradually, whatever it is, and build that mentorship group, which can help you navigate, through the challenges that you have. And remember, you have to also decide how much time you can, how much time you can commit, because mentorship works well when you're committed to the process. And usually your mentor would be someone who has lots of other obligations. So remember, you have to also manage them. You have to be in a position to remind your mentor, listen, we're coming up to 3 months or 6 months or a month. And whatever the schedule is that you've agreed with your mentor works for them in terms of providing you with that support. Now, in my experience, the best mentorships occur where you have a broad relationship with the individual. So although you may be playing a role in helping them plan their career, it's important that on both sides of the mentorship coin, we have both the mentor and the mentee have a broader understanding of the other person's lives, because mentorship is different from coaching. Coaching is a very precise, very structured engagement. In my experience, mentorship works best when you are a informed friend of the person. And generally mentorship is not a remunerative process. It can be, but I certainly don't get paid for any of the mentorship I do. I do it from a position of passion, a position of knowing that if I help someone, it triggers a wonderful chain reaction, and in some cases I benefit from it, not necessarily directly. And so the question is, how much do I know about this person's priorities in life? How much do I know about their availability? How much do I know about what they're trying to achieve? Because then, as a mentee, I can then ensure that my queries and the particular needs I place with that person are appropriately designed so they elicit the best from them. As I said before, you have to manage your mentor. And where do you I think you asked a little bit about where you find them. I don't think there's a formula for this.
Mm-hmm.
Even today, I go through my life and I regard everyone I meet as a potential mentor or mentee, because being a mentor doesn't exclude you from being a mentee and vice versa. It's not a matter of age, or in some cases, functional seniority. It's about having a particular portfolio of experience which someone else finds value adding and useful to have at a particular point in time. So it's finding mentors and also establishing the relationship. I believe should be a gradual, targeted process, which sees you building that personal advisory board over time. And as you said before, that will evolve. I've had mentorship relationships with people for 15, 17 years, and some have been 1 year. because they've outgrown me. They've moved on and need new insights which I can't provide, and that's perfectly fine. So I hope that addresses the question you asked, Sabir.
Okay, so you highlighted the fact that so we as or a person who is seeking a personal advisory board shouldn't have to be or shouldn't be afraid of rejection, and we have to establish a very broad relationship with. You mentioned in a certain point the fact that there is coaching and there is mentorship. If you can give us like what is the difference between having a coach or being coached and being mentored?
Yes, I was hoping you wouldn't answer that question, Sabir, because a lot depends on the particular formulation you bring to the interaction. So for example, a coach generally is someone you go to with a very specific objective in mind. It's time bound. You agree the very formal terms of engagement, and you said, right, I want to achieve X in 6 months or a year, etc. This is what achievement looks like. This is what remuneration the coach would receive for it, and this is the commitment I make as a coachee. That's the broad framework of it. So it's a very structured, usually remunerated engagement with clear objectives. And
you have to pay for
not
it.
just clear but measurable. Generally you do. Very few coaching engagements are pro bono. Mentorship is more of a process. Well, sorry, and there's another issue. Coaching generally involves literally ensuring that the other person, the person being coached, gets to the conclusion with a minimum amount of directive interventions. Mentorships tend to be slightly different. As I said, they tend to be looser structured, but more importantly, you have the ability and the device of being able to suggest concrete ways forward. As I said, it's a bit like having a good friend who's more experienced in a certain area, and they would say, well, listen, in my experience, this is what happened, this is what and based on what you're telling me, these may be some of the things you think about. Coaching doesn't necessarily do that. It guides through probing and through very structured questioning, and allows the coachee, the person who's being coached, to get to that solution so that they have a certain sense of ownership.
Okay, so another issue actually concerning the coaching in general, because there is what is called the personal development, and some people just get read a book or get access to certain hours of coaching. They think they become coaches. So to what extent do you think coaching is more authentic compared to mentors? Because when we speak about mentorship, we speak about years of experience. So, and the people don't need to introduce themselves, but his work is upon him or her. But when it comes to coach, it is considered as, let's say, as a job. So yeah, I have nothing against the coaching. So this is just an idea that we have to highlight, because some people, especially people who with no experience, they think and they take what some coaches said blindly. So we have to get that critical mind. So if you can give us a little bit in brief, so as to move on.
Yeah, it's interesting. And as I said right at the start, we've always had mentors, since we lived in communities, and since we needed to benefit from the experience of those who've either been around longer than us or had a set of experiences which are different from us. What coaching, which is a much more recent creation, profession, and that's the important thing. Coaching is a profession, and you're taught certain techniques in order to elicit certain responses. It's a bit like a form. think of it as being a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You know, they don't give you the answers. They have a process of engagement which allows you to get to a point where, you know, you get that sort of aha moment, or you get to a point where you think, you know what, I think I can move on my own, which is why coaching tends to be very structured and time bound. Mentorship, as I said, it's like a trusted friend. And that's probably the clearest definition I can give, Sabir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Cujo. Now I would like to move to Miss Nicola. So if you have anything to add about the mentorship and the power of mentorship, if you think, what are the techniques, for example, that you can apply as a mentor so as to assess the mentees? I mean, what to start with, what are the competencies and the skills and the need assessment that we need to do as a mentor, for example, not as a mentee, because we talked about the fact that mentees or the individuals who need assessment and mentorship, they need to develop certain insights, and they had to know what they are looking for. But as a mentor, so what, for example, if someone asks you tomorrow to be my to join my personal advisory board, so what are you, for example, the question that you are going to ask, and so on and so forth?
So, okay, thank you for that. So since I work with a lot of youth, I'm just going to dive into, you know, the youth that are in our network and the things that we often see with them. So, what we look for in terms of mentors, you find young people asking, can you be my mentor? Usually, you see they look at the people that they want as mentors to be people that are fine, I would say financially well. I would say people that are financially well, but they really don't have the basis that they why they want this person to be a mentor. So diving into the mentor's mindset, when you look for young people, try and gauge what their passion is and what their interests are, because it's broad. I could be in media, for example, and this person who looks up to me and wants me to mentor them is in agriculture, for example. So you need to assess and see if you are actually an expert in that field, or you'll be able to actually help them, besides them looking at your success or looking at your journey that they might relate to, but one that you're not able to deliver in terms of mentorship. So that's one. And then number two, you need to also look and assess their willingness to learn, because like Dr. Kojo said, mentorship is a journey. So it's, you know, it starts with one step. So you need to look at, are they willing to learn? Is the mentee willing to learn? And this you can even decipher from the initial conversations that you have with them. Are they people that listen? Are they people that you can have a two-way communication with? So you need to, so that is important. Are they able to express themselves? And how do they accept or get your communication? How do they take it? How do they take your critique? Yeah, so that is important. And also another thing that is important, especially for a mentor, is trying to see if they have done any work on their own before you jump on to help them. Have they been proactive with regards to their dreams, their ideas, and the journey that they want to walk? Have they done anything without your help or help of another mentor? Are they willing enough to jumpstart either their career professionally, so much that they've done at least research or something that they've done that you see that they're actually proactive in doing this, and they actually need work, their dedication, and I would say, have they done any pro bono work? So this is non-remunerative work. Have they done anything that they haven't been paid for, in order to just gain a little experience or insight in the things that they want to do or need help from a mentor? So I think those are the things that you should look out when as a mentor, looking for a mentee. And also, just to add on, this is for the mentees when they're looking for a mentor, to manage expectation as well. So sometimes I think people look up to people that have done well, and they want them to be mentors. Then they speak to them and they start a whole mentorship program. And once they get into it, they actually realize that what they saw or idolized about this person is not what really they are or expected that to be. So I think they should manage expectation also. And the only way to overcome that challenge is to do it two-way. Either you take the things that you want to learn from them, and leave and ignore the rest that you don't want to focus on, especially their personal lives. You actually go in there with the willingness to learn on whatever they're going to teach you, or you actually are free to then also say, actually, this doesn't work for me. There's no chemistry here. Let me actually look for another mentor. And now I think you will be wiser when you choose your next mentor. You actually list down the important things and you jump onto the next, because so many people have a failed mentor-mentee relationship and they just give up on it. So I think also they should also, feel free to jump onto the next and actually be wiser and in choosing the next mentor. And then the last thing is the type of mentorship that a mentor should give. They should explain that to a mentee. They should explain that to a mentee before they actually jump into that relationship, which is, so those two styles, mentorship styles, is experiential versus, your verbal talking and all of that, more of coaching, I would say. Experiential, you find there are mentors that actually want to take you to board meetings, want to take you to events, want to introduce you to their network and all of that. So, and then others, they actually just want to have sessions with you online or actually in their areas of work, and they just sit and you talk and they teach you. So I think that is, or others actually mix the two. So I think it's essential that a mentor actually explains to the mentee the kind of mentorship style that they are going to employ with them. So I think that's it for me.
Okay, so my question, actually, you highlighted many interesting points, which are, for example, the mentor has to assess the person. But you said that you have to see to what extent the person or the individual or the mentee who is seeking mentorship are willing to learn. So if they are not willing to learn, they are not going to seek for a mentor. But the question here is, for example, if a person has already the basics, why should they look for a mentor? You see what I mean? Because if we cannot, for example, accept the person as they are, and they don't, for example, want to learn more about such and such things, as you said, so there must be the basics. But how can we, for example, support that person even though they don't even, for example, don't know the basics?
Okay, just to answer that. So also, I guess the exceptional people that have no basics whatsoever, they actually want to jump on it. That's when I would say, you need to actually gauge what their interests are and what their passion is, so you can start stimulating them and saying, actually, if teaching is your passion and you don't know how to go about it, here is the starting point. So I think you guide them according to you gauging their interest and their passion, which is why I think it's important to have that initial discussion with a mentee before you even say, yes, I want to be your mentor, or no. So you see how far you can help them. So I think even if they are raw and they've got no skills at all, just gauge what their interest and the path that they want to take is, so you can start from there.
Okay. Okay. You're this is very insightful, actually. Dr. Melida, actually, I guess she has another engagement, but before you go, would like to to, since you are engaged, if you can be patient with us a little bit, Dr. Melida, okay? So I get to you. So since you are engaged with professionals and you're working in the field of economic empowerment, and as we cannot get empowered or succeed if we don't have the right people doing the right jobs or the right things at the right timing. So my question, Dr. Melida, to you is, who are the people that you think someone wants to, when someone seek a personal advisory board, but how can we know such and such person or the people we should work with and collaborate with, especially in this startup world? I'm stressing actually out this because we are going to have an e-bootcamp in which startuppers are going to compete to get an award up to $5,000 US. So please talk to us a little bit about who are the people and how and when we should stop our collaboration.
Okay, somehow you got, I heard part of the question. Could you repeat that question again? I'm sorry.
Okay, the question is, when we are looking for people to take as to establish or while establishing our advisory board, when are we going to what is the point to get to stop our collaboration, for example? So I am going to look for someone to develop certain skills. For example, what distinguishes a mentor from another one? And if we are engaged, to what extent are we going to stop our collaboration? I mean, yeah.
Yes. Well, first of all, we have to establish our own ideal mentor. Whether they're with the government, whether it doesn't matter where. A top mentor will help you to establish relationships with those that can help you. In what I am doing right now is establishing relationships with people that I know that not only can guide me, but guide those that's with me. The thing is that we have to be selfless when it comes to mentees, and also as when we're seeking for mentorship. Let's talk about seeking for mentorship because that's important, and there's a lot of young people probably here on this panel. A strong mentor will cut, because I'm a mentor and I normally get straight to the point. I make sure from the person that needs that mentorship, I make sure that I need to know everything about them, every single thing about the person. And I think it's important that most people that are mentoring people have to be very careful, because these are things, we talk about the prettiness of mentorship, but we also have to be cautious of who we're getting the mentorship from, and have clarity, and also get people that is going to take you further, not keep you in that same circle. So in collaboration, for example, if you want to if you want your career or your business to go further, it's always good to be around people that's in the same business, people that is going to celebrate you, not just mentor you, but to celebrate you. And that is something that is most important when it comes to mentorship, when it comes to coaching, when it comes to all the things that we have talked about today. It's about celebrating the person that you're mentoring, and also
what does that mean? Sorry for the interruption, but what does it mean to be with someone who celebrates you? If you can give us more.
Yes. I love that. You know why? It's because when someone, when I'm mentoring my young people, when I say I celebrate them, I want them to go further. I want them to go further than I am. That is celebrating them. That is letting them know that I'm with you, no matter where you go. I've mentored so many kids in the past and still mentoring them, but celebrating what they have accomplished, what they are accomplished in, it's very important. Whether you're a coach, whether you're mentoring someone, the celebration, because we need to start talking about the connectivity between all of us. Just think about the 26 people, I'm looking at the numbers that's here now. If I'm here mentoring all of you, I want to make sure that you're going to go further than where you are now. Once that happens, then you celebrate the occasion, you celebrate where they are now. A lot of times, mentors, they only give them so much because sometimes we don't want people to go further. So that's why I'm saying you have to be careful who's mentoring you, because there are people that also thinking, well, you know what? I don't want him to go that fast. I don't want him. So they're making the decisions for you. No, you have to be careful. Celebrating is watching the person that you're mentoring go as far and further than you. That's the key of mentoring. It's not just to talk to you and tell you this is what you do and I'm going to give you a list of all the things that you need to do. I need you to open your mind as well. That's the key, opening up the mindset. Because let me just say this, you can have mentorship, you can have coaching, you can have all of that. But you know what's the most important thing here is? All the things that we've talked about, your mindset. Where is your mindset? That's the key. Where is your mindset at this time? And that's what I'm talking about in all my shows. It's about your mindset. If your mindset has been colonialized, if your mindset has been instilled in slavery, me mentoring you about your business, how is that going to help the mindset that you have at this moment? So what I try to do, or what I do, is make sure that your mindset is in the right place. In order for you now, when I mentor you, you're going to go further. You're not still there going around in circles. So that's the key. It's not just a mentorship. I can talk to you about business. I can talk to you about where you want to go. I can talk about all of that. The bottom line is the mindset of our young people in Africa, our young people in the Caribbean, and in the world. The mindset has to be the number one, then the mentorship about where you want to go.
Okay, so you have mentioned one interesting point, which is, and as we see, for example, young African and the Caribbean in South Africa, they idealize certain people from, let's say, the Western culture. So, and they have that, how can I say, the way they see themselves, like they are the subordinate for others. So to what extent what do you think about how can we change the mindset of we can have mentors even from our society, even from our country, not let alone other people. For example, we don't need to get a Bill Gates to mentor us to be great. So we can have, for example, you or Mr. Kojo or one of the speakers as a mentor to learn from, because you know the mindset is there. So how can we change this the mindset of our young African leaders to believe in themselves, believe in their mentors, and believe in the people they are led by, and to be empowered and
right.
Yes.
Right. First thing of all, truth. We need to know who we are, number one. We need to know our history, number two. We need to know and understand who we are, where we're going. There's a lot of people that are mentoring also need to change their mindset. The mindset is key. Okay. If I because I've had this experience where I'm sitting talking to a leader, prime ministers and so forth, and their mindset is not right. They are still being, the mindset is still colonialized. The mindset is still enslaved. So how are you going to manage a nation and the mindset is not where it's supposed to be? So the whole nation is going to be in a mess. So what I'm saying is the young people of today, what I love about them is that they know something is wrong. They're waking up. They're saying, you know what, something is wrong. Just like yourself, Sabine. Let's talk about, the personal advisory board. You guys are waking up, you see. So my point is the young people are waking up, but the elders are still where they're at. So we have to be careful when we say, I want my elder to mentor me. Sometimes you can find a 15-year-old to mentor you because the mindset is different, you see? So the key here to change what's going on in the world is to provide truth, is to give our children the truth of what is really happening, and how we can change it. It's just like what happened to Nigeria recently. They are waking up. The thing is that the mind still needs the truth. The mind still needs the history. And that's how our children are going to completely wake up. Because again, we're mentoring our children, but what we're mentoring them about? Are we mentoring them to serve, or are we mentoring them to build, to create, to provide? You see, are we building entrepreneurship, or are we building those to serve those that is controlling our minds? That's the key. Because we can talk about mentorship, we can talk about all the things that we're talking about today. I love it. I love it. But the key thing is, are they awake? If they're not awake, what is it that we do to bring them out of that coma that they're in? The truth. We have to speak, we have to begin to start speaking truth without intimidation. We have to start mimicking the Western. We have to start assimilating. These are the things that we need to mentor also our children about, and not take it as a negative, but to face the truth and to understand. I just had a show the other day, and I spoke about the fact that when we have those in our presence, our oppressors in our presence, we freeze up, we change our whole character, we speak different, we do all the things that brings fear. We have to start working with our children, with our youth, and get rid of this fear that we have when those people, when the oppressor, they're in our presence. These are the things that we need to talk about now. These are the things that we need to, these are the advisory board that we need, the people that's going to teach us, hey, you don't have to do that. You are powerful. You are God created you to be powerful. You have it. You're just not using it because it's been oppressed. So what is it that we need? We can transform this. We can say, okay, let's bring our personal advisory board. Now, this personal advisory board is going to teach us how to be confident, how to love each other, how to love ourselves, how to be resilient. These are sometimes the type of advisory board, personal advisory board that we need today. Not just about business and not just about your personal life, but these are the things that we need to cultivate with our children.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Melida. Actually, we are running out of time. So the conversation is, the meeting is going to end at 4:30, but I would love to give the chance to at least 3 participants to ask their questions. Okay, because time passed by, the conversation is really amazing. So now I'm gonna open the floor to 3 volunteers to ask the question in less than 1 minute, and then I give like less than 1 minute to answer for the speakers. So the first volunteer, can you, if there is any, mute your mic and go ahead and ask your first question.
Okay, if there's no questions for me, I'm gonna go. Anyone has any questions for me? If not, I'm gonna.
Just wait for 5 minutes, please.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Yes, yes, go ahead.
I have a question. I think it's for all the mentors. Whoever will manage to answer it. So, first of all, thank you very much for the information. And my question
Please go
is, how do you
forward to the
reach a
question.
point
We don't
where
have time. Just ask your question,
how do
please.
you reach a point where you can differentiate between, because you know with mentorship, you have a trusted friend who you go to for advices and everything, but sometimes there are decisions that you need to make on your own without necessarily consulting.
Okay. Who wants to go to answer our question from the speakers?
Sabir, can I say briefly to the young lady? It's
Yes,
a very
in less
interesting
than
question.
1 minute.
And,
1 minute.
And yes, no, that's fine. You know, the answer in many respects is pretty simply, as a mentee, you have to have developed a relationship with your mentor where you know what the boundaries are and what you can get help from them on. And sometimes you'll get that wrong. You may ask them things which are not necessarily within their purview, or you shouldn't. And a good mentor will gently point that out to you and suggest to you that this is something you need to huddle with yourself and take care of. Thanks.
Thank you very much,
you.
Mr. Kujo. Yes. Yes, the second one who wants to ask his or her question, please. Unmute your mic and go ahead. Otherwise, if you have, for example, a mic, issues with your mic, you can write your question in the chat box and we can. Okay, hi Sabir, thank you very much for this opportunity. I must leave at the help first. Okay, Mr. Kujo, we are finishing at 4:30, so just bear with us 3 minutes. Any other questions? So if there is no questions, okay, go ahead.
Yes? Wow.
Yes, go ahead.
You printed? Sorry, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, just to round up, I'd like to say firstly, thanks a lot. It's been quite a useful session, and like in any good session, those of us who present have learned as much as those of us who've been presented to. Let me just leave this with those particularly on the line who are looking for mentors. It's a process. It's not an event. You will get some of it wrong, and critically, always expect to deal with some form of rejection, and when that comes, it's not to be taken personally. It's not a death sentence. Simply ask for the next rung in the ladder of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like each of our speakers to give us the sums up of the session in 1 minute. So I would like to ask Ms. Nicolette to the last thing before we conclude.
Thank you so much for this session. I really enjoyed it. And just to give a sum up, mentorship is definitely important. I think you should dive into it. But like Dr. Koja said, it's a process. So also just take, like I said, just make sure you manage your expectations and choose the right person that you have chemistry with, and a person that actually relates to what you're looking for. But yeah, don't shy away from it. It's very important for growth.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Nicolette. Mr. Ayub, can you give us the brief of the brief of the presentation and as last word, please?
Actually, I would say thank you very much for having us, and thank you for all the panelists. I myself learned a lot through all what the speakers have mentioned, and just move on. For all people, try to have your personal advisory board today before tomorrow. That's all.
Thank you very
You
much,
will learn.
Ayub.
You will learn in
Thank
the
you
process.
very much, Ayub. Yeah, thank you very much. The pleasure is shared. Dr. Melida, in less than 1 minute, please. Last word. Dr. Melida, are you with us? I guess Dr. Melida has left. But anyways, thank you very much, everyone, from speakers to participants. It was a very fruitful conversation, which I personally learned a lot and enjoyed a lot. So I would like to remind you guys to keep an eye on our social media platform at Yelda Africa on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. For more opportunities, and subscribe to our newsletter to join our Telegram group. And because we value quality, a simple evaluation form will be sent to you afterwards, and it means a lot if you would take less than 5 minutes to fill it out. And thank you so much for your collaboration. To my speakers, I would like to say thank you very much for your enlightening ideas and concepts. I'm looking forward to keeping in touch. Until then, take care and stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.